What's up, nation? It's your host, Kenneth Tiberius Clark, and you guys are back to the Sports Exclusive Podcast. I got my boy Travis Reed on the call. He is a former UCLA Bruin, unfortunately. I'm a USC fan. Had a 10-year career playing overseas ball, all right? And now he's the host of his own successful podcast. You see, he ran the shirt, The Athlete's Journey. So I'm glad to have you on, man. What's going on, brother?
All right. And, I guess I can suck it up if you're a, SC guy. What I'm saying? 3 weeks. 3 weeks is coming. Showdown, baby. I'll be at the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you saying you going to the game?
Oh yeah.
He said anything else would be uncivilized.
Yep. We'll be there. We'll be there.
So, okay. So obviously, we're here. We're going to talk about your overseas career, but we gotta start at the roots, right? We got to start at the roots. We got to go back to when you played at UCLA. First of all, before we ask any further questions, why did you choose UCLA? Was it the history? Like what you could have chose any school, could have chose USC. Why UCLA?
Well, to be honest, I'll be 100% honest. If I did play football, I would have probably chose SC because that was the school of my dreams, football wise.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's literally like I live 10 blocks from SC in South Central.
Mm-hmm.
So, but UCLA was the school of my dreams in basketball. I watched, my father made me learn the Pyramid of Success by John Wooden as a kid. Just the different quotes and things of the Pyramid of Success of John Wooden.
Right.
Not preparing is preparing to fail, things like that, quotes like that. So I memorized in my head. And just growing up, UCLA, I had so many great players. Obviously, one of the greatest, if not the greatest player in the history of basketball, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Back then, he was Lou Alcindor. One of the greatest college players and NBA Hall of Famer, Bill Walton. And just so many other, Jamal Wilkes, all the way up to, I grew up watching, Tracy Murray, Don McClain, Toby Bailey, Ed O'Bannon, to people I played with, Baron Davis, Matt Barnes, Jerron Rush, Jerome Wiesio, Dan Gazier, Earl Watson, J.R. Henderson. Even to future guys like Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, Zach LaVine, what I'm saying? I'm a fan of UCLA through and through, and I always will be.
And you know what? I guess, first of all, you just made me, I guess I never thought about that. UCLA has always been, I guess, in comparison to USC, for you coming out, because you were there from 97 to 99, right?
Yeah, I was there for, 97, 99.
Yeah, 97, 99, especially during that time. USC was just a football, they were a football school specifically. I mean, granted, you had Baby Jordan at USC that played there around that time frame, but for the most part, USC was known as a football school. So I could obviously see why you chose UCLA.
They were good. They had a good team. They had Brian Scalabrine. They had, he was on the team. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to my boy Sam Clancy. He was on the team. He was a beast. They had Brandon Granville, my homeboy Brandon. I mean, pretty much I grew up against the guys I was playing against at SC. My boy Jeff Chapange, who also played in the NBA. They had a great team, but UCLA, like I said, was the team, meaning of LA. It's like Lakers and Clippers kind of thing,
Okay, so what was the experience like at UCLA? I'm sure, obviously, you mentioned even guys that played in the NBA that you played with. But is the UCLA culture that rich where you were seeing a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar show up, or maybe seeing a Bill Walton? I think Bill Walton grew up out here in San Diego where I live. Were you getting these guys frequently coming to the school and maybe, just showing face and stuff like that? So is that culture that rich?
Oh, definitely. Bill Walton would come and interview. I mean, he was doing the games, So imagine you got a top 50 player of all time just coming up to you. Hey, Travis, how you doing, man? I got so much respect for you. I love your game. What you think about tonight? I watch. Dude,
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you. I played against your son growing up, Luke Walton. You know, and so like they would be UCLA. They would be coming up all the time. Obviously, back then, you know, God rest his soul, John Wooden would come and watch our practices. You know,
Oh wow!
and so he knew exactly who
we
we was. Yeah, he would come and watch our. So we just like, dude, this is the greatest, this is probably the second greatest coach ever, but the greatest college coach ever, without question. Watching you practice, talking to you, know who you are, and obviously, but not only that, like, we would see people like John Lithgow, like walking around campus, you know, the actor, you know what I'm saying? So we would see just a bunch of people like just around because it's just UCLA. And so like, that's what UCLA brings, is just that kind of energy. And you know, like I remember when the lockout happened in 99, you know, 98, 99, Kobe was up at UCLA going to school, you know. Also Jaleel White. Yeah, Jaleel White, you know, Steve Urkel, for people that don't know. He went to UCLA. So like UCLA is just another level of just like, oh my God, you know. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I enjoyed, you know, every minute of it off the court. On the court, yeah.
What was the, you know, I was a little younger back then. I know me and you, we about 2 to 3 years apart in age. We, you know, pretty close. But what was that? What were the UCLA USC games like at the time? Was the city of LA standing up for it?
Always, look, I would say this, you know, like SC has a good basketball tradition too. Obviously, nothing's like UCLA, but it has a good tradition of a lot of great players. Just not as many as football. It's a football school. I mean, as good as USC was, and even then, like when I was in college, they went to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 one year. You know, they had NBA players on their team, but you know, Reggie Bush, Garrett, O.J. Simpson, you know, all the running backs, and you know, and O.J. and Marcus Allen and. So like SC was obviously no football, but no, like when the crosstown rivals was happening, everybody was amped because like, you know, you was talking mess, it's like I said, like in California, my class 97 was so deep that, you know, a lot of like the Pac-12 must have got 20 of us, you know. Obviously,
okay.
Yeah, it was so deep in California because me, Baron Davis, Billy Knight, Ty Ramazar went to UCLA. Jeff Japangay, Sam Clancy. They went to SC. You got Jason and Jerry Collins who went to Stanford. You got, just a bunch of people just went everywhere.
The Pac-12 just scooped all y'all.
Almost all of us.
You say Arizona?
Yeah, Luke Walton went there. Luke Walton, Bill Walton's son.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
he went to Arizona, and yeah, I almost went to Arizona. I committed to him, and then I just ended up, I couldn't leave.
Flipped.
I couldn't leave home. UCLA was home. So, but yeah, like I said, like UCLA, as far as talent and just as far as everything, was just a great experience. And like I said, when we would play them, he would put, "You never lose to SC." Our coach, Steve Lavin, "You never lose to SC." And when I was at UCLA, we never lost to SC. We was 4-0. You just don't. That's the game you can't lose. I don't care if you 0-20. If they 0-20, this is their season. This is our season.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like that's college sports. Period. They don't. It's almost like they don't hire coaches to win championships. They hire them to beat the rivals. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah.
I agree. Like I said, like you don't. Like I said, like Duke, North Carolina, Ohio State, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like those kind of rivalries. Like our rivalry is big because everybody who went to SC knows everybody who went to UCLA. And like, it means something. It means something, right. Like it always does. It always has and it always will. You know what I'm saying? Because it's 20 minutes away from each other. And it's a generational thing, you know? Like
It
my
is. It
dad,
is. Yeah.
yeah, my dad hates USC basketball, loves USC football. For me, I love
Okay.
UCLA basketball, and SC football, whatever. You know, I'm happy that they're winning now. You know, because I want it to be a good rivalry. You want it to be a good rivalry, so
Right. No, that's good, man. And you're right. It is a generational thing because I know, even a few years ago where USC was, I want to say USC and UCLA were in the Elite Eight. And man, I know that game. I heard my cousins. I got family. My people from LA. They said that game was lit. When USC played UCLA, and I think who won? Did UCLA beat them
I believe
that
so.
year
Like they
with
never
Evan
they.
Mobley when both the
Oh yeah,
Mobley brothers were there?
yeah, they was both they was in two separate brackets, but yeah,
Mhm.
they Evan Mobley and them went to Elite Eight, and then UCLA
Mhm.
went to the Final Four that year.
Final Four.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
UCLA
yeah.
went to the
Yeah.
Final
That was
Four.
a that was
Yeah.
a that was a great year for Pac-12 basketball. But okay. So that is your college career. All right. My biggest question for you is you wound up playing overseas, but was that always an option? Was that always something that you considered, or was the plan that okay, I'm gonna play you were always dead set on playing in the NBA? So like, how did that transpire? How did you say okay, I'm gonna play overseas ball? Because 10 years is a long time.
Oh no, look, pretty much I just wanted to hoop. I didn't really care where. Like my goal,
Okay,
every person's goal was to play the NBA. You know, I mean, back
right.
then I got drafted. You know, I don't know, like 59 or something, but I felt like I wasn't
Hmm.
going to make the team, so I was like, forget it. You know, what I'm saying I'm gonna just go hoop overseas, and my first job was in Bogota, Colombia. I
Hmm.
went over there like to go make money for the summer, and that turned into Europe. You know, because I didn't know where I was going as far. I had to look on a map my first time. I was like, oh, I signed here in Poland. Okay, let me just had those globes. I was like, spin, spin. Oh, okay, it's here, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I just wanted to continue to play because I wasn't ready to get like a 9 to 5 job yet. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do without this basketball thing. So
Hmm.
Europe, here we come. It's not NBA, it's gonna be somewhere. You know.
Most definitely. I mean, and I like that you say, "Hey, I just wanted to hoop." Like you didn't even try to make it seem complicated. I just wanted to continue to play the sport that I love to play. Did you ever think about? Because I know at that time you graduated in '99. I don't think that the D
Oh,
League started up until like '05. So did you ever think about climbing that, like hopping back and climbing that ladder, or were you just after a while got so comfortable playing overseas?
well, I graduated in '01, '02
Oh, oh one.
actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, '02, '02, '02. I graduated '02.
Okay.
I just left UCLA in '99, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, I just left UCLA. I graduated from Long Beach State. The G League was going at the time. The D League was going at the time.
Mhm.
You know, I actually had a friend who actually had played the year before. He was at Long Beach State the year before, and basically told me about it. Like it's like the money wasn't the money it is now. As far as what guys make in the league, they was making about 2,500 at the time,
Right.
or maybe 2,000, and it was like basically in college you were like 5 guys to a 2 bedroom apartment. You know,
Oh,
you're
so it was
sharing
rough. It
a
was rough living.
yeah. It was like 5 guys to a 2 bedroom. You're on a bus. You're living in Willacoochee, Georgia, or Alberta, New Mexico, or you know what I'm saying? Like you're doing that, and
Hmm.
you're busting 8 hours, 9 hours, and it's just a grind. And for me, I was like, man, like
Eh,
I'd rather go overseas because I was like, how much can you make overseas? Like 80 to 90,000 or 100,000, or if you're really good,
and-
you can make over that. I'm going overseas, bro.
okay, and then that actually perfect. That leads into the next question. They treat you guys really
Mm-hmm.
good over there, right? Like
Oh yeah,
when you were,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
what was that? What was that? If you were to describe, what was that experience like when you first got
Well,
over there?
it was scary, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, look, like I didn't know anything about you. You don't know nothing about overseas. because those were my first years. Like I said, Bogota was the craziest because the drug lords, the drug kingpins, was the owners of the team.
Really?
Yeah. There was no cops. There was no police. The army, the military was the police. So for me, being American, because they kidnapped people over there, I had 2 military guys with me at all times wherever I walked, anywhere. So when we would go to the gym, or I didn't really go, I stayed in the hotel a lot. So most of the time I would go to the International Call Center. And so I had 2 military guys with AK-47s with them, walking with me wherever I went. The owners, like I said, they would have 10 of those guys. And then like 5 guys that were like in disguise kind of thing, Mm-hmm. But you could tell they had bulges in their sides, so they was ready to, get down or whatever.
Active at all times.
Yeah, like they was ready, and it wasn't like just 9mm. They had like Uzis and all that stuff under the jack. So I was like, okay.
Do some damage.
Yeah, so for me, it was like, I remember the owners used to ask me, Travis, are you okay? Hey, I'm fine, sir. I'm good. Thank you. I am straight. It was different life, man. It was, Spanish was different life. But Europe, once you get established, you know what I'm saying, and become like a quote unquote good player in that country, depending on the country, it's like, it's beyond crazy because soccer is obviously number 1 in Europe. It's not even close.
Of course.
Soccer is here, right? So, but I would say when I went to Holland, I won MVP of the league, statistical MVP my first year, and then my next year I just won MVP of the league. Like I became a household name per se, and my team won the championship. So after my team won the championship, I started being a guy that take pictures with babies, and people was naming their baby's middle name Travis, and all that kind of stuff. So it got a little crazy. It got a little crazy. I ain't gonna lie. A little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it got a little wild.
A little wild. Luckily, there was no camera phones and all that stuff back then. So some places is a little crazy, but like they treat you good if you perform. If you do what you do and y'all winning, it's a great place to play.
If you were to sum up the pros and cons of playing overseas, because you play for how many different? Sometimes I look at the team. I don't even know how to pronounce half these teams. So I don't want to chop these people franchise up. But what would you say what would you say are the pros and cons overall of playing overseas ball?
Let's just start with the pros. Obviously, you're getting paid great money. Good. Actually, you start out really low. I ain't gonna lie. I started out like at $1,500 a month my first year. But then, like, I did well, and then, I quadrupled that, and then quadrupled it, and then quadrupled it again. Kind of like that. That's how, so I went from 1,500 to, like, 6,000, from 6,000 to, like, 10,000 and beyond. You know what I'm saying? My first couple of years. And so...
Well, it helps when, some cartel guys are the owners, right?
Well, yeah, that was... that, like, I made, like...
That was the first state.
Yeah, it was the first place. I only stayed there for, like, 6 months. And then I left because I was like, I'm going to Europe. I'm getting out of here. So after I left in the middle of the night, like at midnight, took a cab to the airport, flew to Miami. I got to Miami, like, thank God, okay. And then flew back to Cali. Like in Europe, like it's the pros are obviously you get to play basketball. You get paid to play, right? You also get like you have fun, if you're in a good city.
Yeah.
For me, I told my agent, always put me in a capital. Don't put me in no side city for the most part. So, like, I was mostly in the capital where it was, I needed a gym, a weight room gym or a fitness center, a movie theater, the basketball gym, and the club. And whatever club, for that city. That's all I really needed in a grocery store.
You had everything you needed.
Pretty much. Give me a movie theater so I can still watch movies, a gym where I can lift weights and work out, a basketball.
Club where I can let off steam.
Yeah, club where I can have fun after the game, and the gym where I can go shoot. After that, that's pretty much it.
A simple life.
Simple.
So that's the pros.
Yeah, I would say the money, and obviously, like I said, to get any chance to play, You get, having, like the people is fun. You can have a good time if you're in the right place. Cons is you're away from your family. For me, it used to be like 9-10 months out of the year. So I would leave like in August, and I wouldn't come back until like June almost. Oh no, it would be June in some countries. Like sometimes you play forever because the teams I was on were going deep into the playoffs. So the season would end of April, and then playoffs start. You go first round, best of 5, second round, best of 7, third round. So it was the games. You would be there for a whole long month or month and a half of extra work.
So you weren't going home till about end of the summer? I don't know what, August, September?
No, I would be home like in June, like mid-June.
Okay.
Yeah, like June, like mid-June. And then I would have to go, if I signed a contract to go back, I got to leave in August. So
you was getting like, wow. So you said literally 10 months out the year. Right?
Yeah, I would pretty much like, I would be there and like literally come home, chill for 2 weeks, and then get back in the gym, start working out to get ready for the next season.
Wow.
And that's how it was. Like that would be the cons. It was, you're gone from your family so much. When I had my son towards the end of my career, I really started missing home. I was missing him because I was seeing him on Skype, but like I wasn't holding him, close to me.
Right.
He was a baby, so that was just hard. It's not many signs seeing my family. My phone bill always crazy. So always crazy because I was calling home all the time. So
no, most definitely, and I could actually relate a little bit. Granted, I didn't play no overseas ball. I was in the military, so I served overseas. So you look, the hours are crazy. It's 3 p.m. for you. It's 2-3 in the morning for them, and
Yep. And that's how it is. Like it's 9 hours. Europe is 9 hours ahead. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10, depending on like like the call, hour forward, hour back, whatever. And yeah, like it was tough. So like when I would go to sleep, I would get all my calls. So I would get my calls like at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, because it's 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, out here. And when I would wake up in the morning, like it's, or when I would go to bed, it'd be 3 in the afternoon. So that's when I would call back home a lot and just talk till I fell asleep.
If you were to name, because you play for, like I said, I think, 7, 8 teams? Different teams, maybe?
Yeah, I played for a lot of teams. Some teams I didn't play for as long as others. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why it's a bunch of countries, because some countries I stayed for 4 months. Some, some for 2 months,
What was your favorite team and favorite tenure, if you would say, if you were to name one team that you loved the experience?
Well, okay. I would say my best year individually was my first year in Estonia.
Okay.
For BC Kalev. It started kind of slow, but, as things picked up, I was MVP of the league. I was MVP of what they call the Baltic League, which is three countries, which is Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, all in one. And at that time, in Lithuania, Kareem Rush was in Lithuania. Lauren Woods was like another guy in the NBA. Like, like they had some real hoopers, in the big countries. And I won MVP of the league. I won MVP of the Estonian League. I was a Baltic League All-Star, FIBA Cup All-Star. So that was my best individual, year in 2006. But I want to say my overall best year was probably 2004 in Holland, because, I won MVP of the league, MVP of the All-Star game, and we won the championship. And it was like the first championship in that country, in that city in like 20 years. So like the fans, it was one of those like, oh my God, I can't believe we just did this. And like they carried me off the court. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it was one of those crazy things.
Obviously, we know that soccer is a bigger sport, but like some of these teams you play for, like they had real big, crazy fan bases.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like in my city where I was at in Holland, the soccer team wasn't good. Yeah, so like they gravitated towards us because we won games, And so like the fans, let's just say it was about 5,000 people packed to the brim every home game. We didn't lose a lot of home games that year, or even all my tenure there, we didn't lose a lot of home games because we was like a real home court advantage where the refs would like, if we lost and they called a bad game, they're running out. They're running back into their locker room and getting escorted by the cops out.
I'll ask this. So earlier you mentioned a few NBA guys. I know Kareem Rush, and that's something I definitely wanted to ask you. Did you play against a lot of notable names of guys that played in the NBA but were overseas while you were overseas?
Well, like I said, the team I was on was a really good team. The teams I was on usually were really good. So we were playing something called the two things that were big. There was three things, actually. There was the Euro League, where like the best teams of all of Europe were playing, right? I played in the ULIP Cup and the FIBA Cup, Now, in the FIBA Cup, I played against Marc Gasol right before he left to go to the NBA.
Really?
Yeah, he was in Spain. This is right when he got drafted with the Lakers. He had to play one more season in Spain. And then he went to the NBA, drafted by the Lakers, traded to Memphis for his own brother, Powell.
Wow.
As far as I played against...
you bodied him?
Oh, man, he was... Look, I would say this. I scored against him, but he could have scored 50 against me. He was like 7 feet, 300 pounds, and I couldn't, if he really wanted to score a lot, he had nice touch. He was so big. He's not skinny like he became.
Yeah, he's a little more bigger than his brother. Yeah,
he was bigger, and so like I couldn't really. If he wanted to, he had like 15, but he could have had 30. But he wasn't like that. He was always unselfish. You know what I'm saying? I played against him. I played against the Boston Celtics, former Boston Celtics, Ime Udoka. Yeah, he played. This is right before he went to the Spurs and played in the NBA. He has a championship with the Spurs, but he was in Spain. I played against a bunch of NBA guys, in like I said, when we were playing these FIBA Cups, ULIP Cups, a lot of guys that got drafted from Europe but didn't go over. Rudy Fernandez, he went over. But like a lot of guys from like Spain and because they making so much money in Europe, they would get drafted but never go over.
And that makes sense, right? Because they were like, why would I take a pay cut to go to a unfamiliar place?
A lot of dudes, like you'd be surprised, like I must have played against about 25 to 30 draft picks that got drafted in NBA, some first round, but just never went. A lot of them were second round dudes. But like they were like one of those stash dudes like a Ginobili did. Like San Antonio drafted him 4 years before he even came over.
That's true.
So,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Tony
so they
Kukoc
have a lot
did
of that.
The same thing, right?
Yeah, Bulls drafted him almost 8 years before he finally came over.
Oh,
so
damn, I didn't know it was that long.
They drafted him like 80-something, 80, 86, 87, whatever. And he didn't come over to like 95.
Wow.
Or whatever it was, 94, whatever year he came over. But like a lot of European guys like that. I'm trying to think of any main NBA guys. Like I said, Kareem Rush, Lauren Woods, Michael Wright, Jason Gardner. Yeah, dude from Arizona.
Yeah, taking me back.
The guy. Remember the guy, Hamborough, the guy that Kobe did the 360 dunk behind the back 360 dunk against Denver.
Yeah.
He was in Europe the very next season. I played against him the very next year. My boy, my teammate used to tease him like, "Ain't you the one that got dunked on by Kobe?" 360 dunk by Kobe.
And I bet you he was sick.
Yeah. So a lot of guys, like I said, played in Europe. Played in Europe, and like I said, played the NBA, but will go make that money in Europe as well.
Wow! So they double dipped.
Yeah. Not like before they would come, they would already have money. Yeah, they would already have, they would already have a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Mike Batiste too.
And plus, what I see is a lot of times you have guys that play in the NBA, and it could be either their career is headed downwards or they just kind of want to get away. Like, from my understanding, isn't Stephon Marbury like a god in China? Like they worship the man. They got statues, and he's like that dude over there.
Well, pretty much what happened, obviously, Stephon Marbury went down the kind of like the Kyrie's going down the Stephon Marbury thing.
Right,
Stephon Marbury was kind of like doing some weird things in
controversial.
the NBA, controversial things, and then like he went to China, and he went to a team that didn't win a championship for a really long time. And he won a couple championships, and he loved it out there so much they built a statue of him out there. So, that's real. That's serious.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And so, like guys who maybe flame out in the NBA or is on the downstroke of their career, because a lot of guys have went, like Kobe Bryant, obviously Kobe Bryant's dad, Klay Thompson's dad, like a lot of guys, they've been over there, you know what I'm saying? And they play over there towards the end of their careers. Francisco Elsa is another one. He was on the Spurs 2005 championship team. So a lot of guys, I played against and they played in the NBA.
So when let's look at young guys now. Obviously, they can use overseas basketball for a variety of different reasons. One, to develop their skills, or to just make it a career similar to how you and some other guys have done. What advice would you give the young basketball player, either fresh out of high school, 1 year in college? What advice would you give them on approaching overseas basketball?
It's a different kind of game, you know what I'm saying? Because I would say European basketball is much slower than the NBA, also more physical. It's not even close. As far as the NBA, they want fans in the stands, right? And so they want to see dunks, threes, a lot of scoring. Europe, they don't care if the score is 55-50. They just want to win. So
they strapping up.
Yeah, so when you get to the basket, there ain't no windmill dunks and all that stuff. It's a dunk. It might be a dunk, but you might get fouled too. You know what I'm saying? So if you dunking over somebody, they can foul you hard. European dudes, they don't like to be shown up. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of depends on the situation. They can play zone out there. They can play man. It's a
Can
different.
They hand check? Can they hand check over there?
Yeah, they can hand check. You can kind of guide dudes, but they also know how to flop and jump into you, fall down and get a call. It's just a different vibe and a different thing of basketball. So Brandon Jennings did it. He went to Italy out of high school. Right. And if you notice, he didn't even – I saw it. He didn't really play, Right. He didn't play that – he was off the bench. He didn't really play that much because the game was different.
It's different. Right.
And then he went to the NBA and was, runner-up rookie of the year. And so, my advice to them would just be, learn how to play the game. Learn, the different pace of it. It's not 100% speed, it's not 100% slow. Just you would have to learn how to play the pace of the game.
I think it kind of everything adds up when you say that the game being more physical, because I remember Luka saying, Luka Doncic from the Mavericks, him saying that he didn't think the NBA was going to be this easy, and he didn't think that he would have this. This was obviously very first year of his career, but and I didn't think he was going to be the player that he is, but it obviously I guess we can attribute that to overseas, them playing more of a physical and fundamental brand of basketball?
Yeah, I would tell you this: Spain is the number one league in Europe, the second league in the world. The best of the best play in Spain. Period. Now there's other countries where certain teams are great, but Spain overall, from top to bottom, you got an all European guy or NBA guy on every single team. Period. And if you're in Spain, you are legit. You can play in the NBA. It's not even, seriously. And Luka, the highest average of in Spain is 20 points. The leading scorer of the league is 20.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because they don't want in Europe. They don't want one guy Luka. He was averaging 20 points, but he ain't averaging 30 like he was, in Europe. Because in Europe, they want you to pass the ball. They want you to move. They want you to cut. They want you to screen. And they don't want one guy jacking up all the shots. That's just not how they play. So when I was there, the highest guy was averaging 18, 19 points a game. That's in the whole league.
Star.
Yeah.
Star.
And that means he was killing. And that means his team really wasn't that good. The the best teams had like 4 or 5 guys. Like Marc Gasol, example, he averaged like 13 a game. You know, and he didn't even look to score more than that. Once he got like that, he would start passing because they had so many. So many good guys.
I was about to say he's probably getting you 10, 15 boards and 10 plus assists.
You know what I'm saying? He was averaging a double-double for sure, like you said, like about, 13 and 11, but he was getting about 7, 8 assists because he had other guys on his team that all can get buckets. So they, Europe is like 5 guys averaging like 12, where you can't lean off of anybody because they all can score. Now in other leagues, the scoring is a little bit more imminent. So like they want the Americans to get it in, but some like the best leagues, they don't want Americans just to come down, jack up shots. They don't want that. They want it, like a team game. So it's a little different.
So one thing I always wondered, I hear people say, especially basketball players, my agent, you had an agent. Do these people just approach you, or like, do you actually go and seek out? Like, what is that process?
It just depends. Like I said, if what level player you are. Agents everywhere. Not every agent is good. I went through multiple agents because I didn't really care. I just wanted whatever one that was going to give me the best deal. That's what I went with.
Okay.
And so like you can go with a big time agency that has big time players. For a lot of players, for example, like I remember I was with Courtside Agency for a minute. It's one of the bigger ones in Europe. So they got me a couple deals, and then I felt like they pigeonholed me in one area. So I left them, went to another agent. I had an agent, a Dutch agent who kept me in Holland for 3 or 4 years. So I felt he pigeonholed me. So I'm like, all right, well, I want a different agent. So for me, it was always like, I didn't really care about, like what agent got me the deal. I just wanted an agent to give me the best deal they can give me. You just got to figure out what best fits you and what makes you comfortable. Because like, if you want to like go from country to country to country, messing with one agent might not might not rock with you. You might need to get multiple kind of, things. Like agents find you. Agents find you. That's how they do it.
So basically, it would be some agents, like you say, if you want to jump from country to country, they could probably, and this is just a thought, but they could probably be getting a little money on the side to be funneling players to certain teams or things of that nature. Who knows? Like they have an agenda, maybe.
Oh man,
that's why they want to keep you pigeonholed.
I can tell you this. This is 100% facts, right?
Okay.
So let's just say we're going to give an example. We're going to break it down for you for audience, right? And this is how it is in Europe. People don't realize, they don't know this. Say a team has $150,000 for foreign players. Right? It could be Europe, it could be States, it could be whatever. So some teams, what they do is, they tell the agent, okay, we got 150,000 this year. What can you get us? Now, some agents can be like, okay, I got Kobe Shaq, just throw an example, right? Kobe Shaq for 75,000 each. So they'll be the top players, right? Or what they can do is say, like, I'll get 4 players or 5 players for $30,000 each. And that makes my agency look real good because we got all these players' jobs. Oh. And so like when I look on your site, say you're the agent, I look on your site, you see all these players got work. Because the worst thing that for an agent is like, why you have all these guys and none of them got work? Right. So I'm not gonna rock with you if you can't get these guys work, because like you might not get me no work. So they rather have these guys all making 30,000, 5 guys making 30. Depending on the country, right? 5 guys making 30 rather than 2 guys making 75. And sometimes you being a new guy, you don't know this because the agent's like, look, this is the best deal I got. This team is ready to sign you. I know it's not a lot of money, but just work your way up.
So they advertise quantity and not quality.
Yeah, some do. Some. I'm not saying all agents.
Some do. Not all, but some. The unfavorable ones.
Yeah, and so like some agents like, well, I only represent $100,000 players and up, so they don't even rock with those kind of teams. They only rock with teams that's going to pay that certain amount of money, right? But some agents, because they want the work, like, and they get 10% of every single contract they sign. So let's just say they sign 5 deals for 30,000. Was it 15,000 each, or 3,000 each player, 15,000 racks, boom, because you got 5 different players. And sometimes, they may have a percentage of your contract, so you got to pay them 2%, 1%, whatever. So they double dipping. That's the dark side of the agency that nobody really knows, that they don't really be like telling people about, or telling like players. So you have to figure that out on your own. And so for me, I just, like I said, I would just.
You don't have qualms about firing an agent.
Nah, you don't, like, that was one of the things I had to learn, because I was loyal. I was super loyal in the beginning, and I had to learn not to be loyal. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn not to be loyal. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to, you know what I'm saying? Like, be like, oh, this is really a business. Okay.
Most definitely. And guys, young guys, and, not just guys, young girls that want to play overseas, or, you're talking about getting an agent. I hope you're paying attention to this, because this is some good stuff right here.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I would tell you, bro, like, look, like, and also, like, when agents have a job for you, they will blow your phone up. Like, they'll call you 5 times a day because they want you to take this job. But in my, like, it's other situations, they would, like, if you looking for, like, if they ain't got nothing for you, you can't even get them. Like, they went to
it's
witness.
Hard to get in touch.
They went to witness protection program, bro. You can't even find them.
Voicemail.
Like, you don't really leave voicemails on agents' things. You just text them like, yo, what up? You got anything? Whatever. They don't, no response. You email, no response. And then when they get a job for you, Travis, I got a job. It's 7,000. It's, it was 8,000. Look, I'm looking for 10. Man, I don't know if you're going to get 10 right now. You might take just 7.
So let me ask you this. When you hung it up, because I think you stopped in what, 2012?
Yeah, 2012. Yeah, 2012, 2013. Yep.
Was people still blowing up your phone, trying to pull you out, trying to pull you back?
Well, yeah, that happened a couple times. I was like, agents was like,
you thought about it?
I thought about it. Yeah, you always think about it, but like, it was just, for me, it was, God had blessed me 10 years to play overseas. I wanted to be around my son more, and the money that I was getting offered at the time wasn't the money that I really wanted. So it was like a situation where, I don't know, like, I was like, like, I was obviously at my peak, I was making, a lot of money or whatever, right? But towards the end, the money wasn't what I wanted. It went backwards because I got injured, and I had two stress fractures in both my shins. So that's why it was like, the money wasn't. It was like, why am I doing this for this amount of money? It wasn't enough for me to keep saying to keep playing. And so I was like, well, I have to figure out the rest of my life anyway. So let me just start now and just be around my son.
That's good. Like I said, that makes sense, because I guess you can say that, and I'm sure that's the hardest part for any professional athlete, to see that it's the end, and maybe you can't play like this at the same level that you played before.
Athletes think they're immortal. We all think we're immortal, and we want to play forever. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was going to play till I was 40 something maybe. I didn't know anything but basketball, so I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to keep playing. But like, God was like, nah, you done. And you're 32. I was 32 at the time, and I was like, Lord, for real? I'm only 32. You know what I'm saying? I want to play for another at least 5, 6 years. I would have did the towel thing for a year just to make some money. You know what I'm saying? Come in for like 10 minutes and just rock it. And like, it just, when it's over just like that. And like, it's nothing that you can do or say. That's what it is. And you just like, damn, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's all over.
Most definitely. But but obviously it makes you cherish. And I always tell younger athletes this, guys that are in their prime, or They may be the man in high school right now. I'm like, hey man, you got this. Live it while you can. Some people they never play like me. I never played sports after high school. I probably could have went to JUCO or something, played some football. Who knows, right? Once it's over, it's over.
I tell people like that, man. I tell anybody, like, once it's a wrap, it's a wrap. So enjoy and be humble and stay blessed. You know what I'm saying? Like, stay blessed and be humble and enjoy what time you have. Because like I said, I played 10 years, but a lot of my friends didn't. A lot of them played 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years.
So you were blessed to have a prolonged career and make some decent money.
Yep. A lot of them was like, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be away from my family, or I can't take it being over here. It's crazy. So all right, well, I'm a hoop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staying. I'm hooping.
Yeah.
So like I just say, like, always stay humble, and just, when you get your blessing, be appreciative of it.
First of all, this is a great interview, right? I learned a lot. I'm learning things about overseas ball I never knew. I always seen it, but look, the only thing I know about overseas ball is loving basketball. When her and her friend was, that's the most I know, because I don't hear about it that often.
Yeah, of course.
But how can the fans reach you? And I would, tell us a little bit about the Athlete's Journey podcast.
All right. Well, they can reach me. I put I don't know if they can see, like, my at Travis W. Wayne Reed. Or Wayne. I don't know why I said that. At Travis W. Reed, on Instagram. And then Travis W. Reed on Facebook. I post a lot of my social media on both those sites. So like all my shows, that I have, An Athlete's Journey is my main show. And pretty much, I also have An Athlete's Journey. Also, I have He Said, She Said. It's another show about men, women, and dealing with relationships at my age, at young age, just how relationships things is. And Believe in UCLA, because we talk about UCLA. Me and my co-host Sam Connon, we talk about UCLA sports, football, basketball, baseball, yada yada. But my main show is the Athlete's Journey, and pretty much what Athlete's Journey is it talks about like athletes, like former athletes like yourself, former athletes like myself, and just talks about how we came up in the game, but nobody talks about what happens after,
Right.
And for me, like, that was a big thing, you know what I'm saying? Because I went into, to be 100% honest, I went into a Great Depression after I finished basketball.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so a lot of us athletes in any sport, basketball, baseball, football, whatever, we don't know what to do with ourselves because, like I said, our whole lives has been one thing. And for myself, like I said, my life was for 28 straight years was basketball. And then when I retired, I was like, what am I? Who am I without basketball? And it took me through some dark places, really dark places, And so, like, my thing is, like, I want to tell people not only my story, but other athletes' story about how to make that transition out of whatever sport you're playing to know that being successful is in many different ways. And, after sports, just have a plan. Even when you're hooping, you can be hooping in the NBA, you can be hooping in college, you can be hooping in high school. Like, have a plan of what you think you're going to do for the future. That doesn't include, I'm going to make it to the NBA. And that's fine.
Everybody don't make it, though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Look, I would say this. There's 1 million hoopers, right? 300,000 plays high school, right? Out of those 300,000, maybe 4,500 plays college, right? Maybe 5,000 plays college out of those 300,000, right? And then out of that, if you're a point one to the NBA, so basically it's 60 drafts, right, for the NBA. I'm just saying for basketball, 60.
Right.
Now 30 of those are probably gonna be European, right?
Guys, that's true. That cuts in half. Okay.
Cuts in half to 30, right? So 5,000 people are basically fighting for 30 spots, right?
That's madness.
For 30 spots. And they're not even like, it's so many athletes in college like that graduate that's there before you, that's coming up or whatever. That's just even more, right? So that narrows it down to 30 spots, right? Out of like 10,000 people or whatever that graduate every year. And you figure like this, like for me, like once I knew that the NBA wasn't my path, overseas became my path. And even that, like it's not a lot of players that go overseas and hoop and stay, for years and years on end. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, they get burnt out, they don't want to do it, whatever the case is. So like imagine that at every level, right? And even when say you get to the NBA or overseas and you're making money, and then now you're like, okay, I'm gonna hoop for a while, and then boom, you get injured. It happens, I've had many friends in NBA and overseas that hooped. Look, I got injured, and I thought I was done after 6 years, 7 years. And so, like, I wasn't the same player after I came back, but I came back and played my last 3. I was kind of like, not saying I was Kobe because I kept getting injured, but I came back after my surgeries, and I just wasn't I was still good. I just wasn't that player, right? And so I just think that like players got to have a plan of what to do next after, because you never know, man. Like I said,
it can end fast.
It can end just like that. And like I said, when the lights go out, everybody kind of like, where's Travis? Where's Kenneth? Where they at, man? And that's I want to let athletes know that it's okay, that you could come to listen to the show. There's so many stories about NBA, NFL, college, high school, gymnastics, tennis, baseball. I had it all on my show. The athletes kind of like, it took a long time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm not afraid. I'm not ashamed to say it. I turned to alcohol when I retired because I just had no outlet. No, nothing, not knowing nothing. And like I said, I got really low. And it's okay. God had to put me in that path to get me to the right path. And so, I'm blessed right now to have this show to kind of give people, athletes of every level, a spoken word, if you want to say.
No, most definitely. And it's even something, we talked about on the Sports Exclusive podcast. Obviously athletes after that journey is done, man. And I think anytime you do something for a prolonged period of time, I went through a short depression after I finished playing high school football, right? And that was only 4 years. Now I went through a depression when I got out of the military. I did that for eight and a half years, right? So anytime you've dedicated so much time to your life, is always going to be a transition. And going back to what you said earlier about how the few people making it to the NBA, I'm going to say this because it be getting on my nerves. For you people that talk about the bitch players in the NBA and say this guy's sorry and this guy, I want you to realize that guy is in a small percentage of people that was even able to make it in that seat. I just gotta say it.
Let me tell y'all something. The last dude on the NBA bench will destroy any dude anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a funny dude, my boy Scalabrini, because they used to talk about him because he was like one of the last guys on the bench when he played. He came to like an open gym and played a guy like one-on-one who was talking mess on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. He destroyed him like 9-1 or 9-2. Because like to even make it to the NBA, it's only been like 5,000 players that ever made it to the NBA in this whole existence. Something like that. Right? It's only been
That's still a low number. It's still a low number though.
It's 75 years of the NBA, maybe 5,700 or something like that. That ever graced. And that's talking about the guys who played one game to like 20-year career dudes like LeBron. Like, so there's only been 5,700 in the whole existence of the NBA, 75 years. So like, if you get on a bench and you get to play, I mean, if you get even on a bench, that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, for myself, like I said, like I was one of the few guys that played, like I said, in Europe for 10 years. And not a lot of us, that do it. It's not a lot of us, that make it to that level.
Like I said, you're blessed to have had a 10-year career. And for anybody that's watching, like I said, young kids that are thinking about going that route, really take heed to some of the things that Travis is saying. Obviously, some of the pros and cons and the ins and outs of what it's like to play overseas. But even if you're able to do that, because can we be real? Some people may look at that as a second option or downgrade from the NBA. But some people can't even, a vast majority, probably a good 95% won't ever play overseas ball.
I would say even higher, probably about 98%. Like, trust me, like a lot of dudes go to the G League route, which is fine. And I don't knock the G League. It's another professional league. And for me, I always tell anybody, like, I had a friend. His name was Corey Benjamin. He was a lottery pick. He was like number 14 in the draft. He played overseas. I mean, he played in the NBA for like 4 or 5 years. One of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in California history. But he should have played overseas after his career finished, but he tried to make the NBA. And I felt like if he would have played overseas, he would have made $1 million a year for the next 10 years of his life.
And would have extended his pro basketball career probably another 10 plus years. Possibly.
Yeah, I would say like for him it would have, like he would have, because he had the name, he had the game, he had everything. And so, but I think, we get caught up in chasing the NBA dream, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay. Like I said, like he made his decision, and like I know he doesn't have any regrets. So that's okay with that. For me, I was like, look, if I ain't making the league, I'm about to make some money. So, and I'm like, shoot, as long as they call me Mr. Reed at the bank, I'm straight. So, you know what I'm saying? If I'm making $150,000, $180,000, because you make that kind of money, you make up to upwards of millions of dollars if you get real good. That's okay with me. Money's money.
Oh, man. Like I said, man, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. I enjoyed the interview. I learned a lot about overseas ball. Audience, I hope you guys learned a lot and took some notes. But yeah, man, like I said, I guess I will have to check out the Athlete's Journey. You guys definitely tap in, subscribe with my man Travis Reed. Check out, and then the He and She podcast too.
Yeah, He Said, She Said.
He
podcast.
Said, She Said. Okay.
Yeah, like it's on pretty much Athlete's Journey, and He Said, She Said, and Believe in UCLA is all on Spotify. Yeah, Believe in UCLA, all on Spotify. If you just type in my name, all 3 shows will pop up. Like, share, subscribe. All on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. So just like I said, and Google Podcast for An Athlete's Journey. So like you can, if you don't have I know you have one of the 4. So like I said, just check it out.
You got something. Everybody got something.
Everybody got something. So like I said, I think you can find all of those shows on like I said, on all those networks.
Most definitely. Like I said, tap in with my man, and like I said, Travis, thanks again for blessing the Sports Exclusive podcast, and I look forward to talking to you soon, man.
Oh, anytime, Kenneth, man. Anytime you need me, I'll come on for you, brother.
Most definitely. Talk to you soon.